Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to the Rival and Queen podcast. Hi, Sarah.
Hello, Ashley. Great
How
to
are
be here
you?
with you.
We're here. It's December. We're into it.
We've made it. We are ready for the holiday season, and we hope everyone else is excited as we are.
I think we're finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel of 2020 for a new year, 2021. It's going to be good. It's almost here.
I've got two things to say to you about this. One of them you're not going to like. In like the spiritual world of like expansion, this is supposed to be like a big expansion for humans, and it's supposed to go on for 7 years.
What?
Yeah, like 2020 to 2027 are supposed to be like chaos.
Well, I think that seems to be true since 2020 was kicked off that way. So I guess we'll just keep seeing what happens year after year.
We'll have hope for 2021 that it's not chaos, that it's like beautiful life.
Or maybe it will be chaos that doesn't involve us. I don't know.
That could be dope too. Just we'll good see. Things.
We hope that we stick around for the next 7 years.
We're not going anywhere. We love it. Ash, we just had Black Friday. Did you or did you not buy things?
So I did buy things, but nothing very exciting. And I think that they were all for myself.
Really?
I bought a sweatsuit, a gray sweatsuit.
From where?
Your favorite. So I was going to buy it from Aritzia. I had it in my cart. And then I remember Tay Landry, a friend of ours, who had posted about Pretty Little Things, which I've never bought anything from them, but it's an online clothing boutique. So I went on there and everything was so much cheaper than Aritzia. And I mean, a sweatsuit's a sweatsuit. I'm not going to wear it in public. I want to wear it over the holidays and feel comfortable. So I got that.
I love it.
I did order something else and now I can't remember what it is. It will come to me in a minute. I think it was something for the house, like nothing crazy.
I have a love-hate relationship with Black Friday because I do feel like it creates a sense of like anxiety and urgency, which is like the purpose of it, I'm pretty sure. And so I always end up being so stressed about whether I want things or not because I'm not thinking about holiday shopping that clearly before December. You know
Sephora.
What I mean?
I just looked at my email to jog my memory, and it was something from Sephora. 3 things.
Ooh, I got some goodies from Sephora. But I did this year. I did not buy much because I actually almost hate anytime I buy things during Black Friday because I just get too panicked. But I did buy some lipstick from Sephora. And I'm going to tell you, I also bought smart plugs because I've become like obsessed with Christmas lights. But we'll talk about that in a minute. But you know what I bought that I actually think was incredible? I bought sheer text tights. You know,
did you? Were they on sale?
They were on sale for $47 because it's a Canadian company, first of all, but it's all in American dollars, which I'm not into. And they're normally $100. I got them for $47. However, I was drunk when I ordered them and I forgot.
I wish I ordered these. That's a good deal. And I'm with you. I kind of think that you hear Black Friday, whatever. There's all these things. I think that in person, I mean, it's harder to do right now, that there's certain deals if you used to physically go to the store in person, like those door crashers. Is that what they call it?
A door crasher.
And I even would think that was ridiculous. Like, I'm not waiting in line at 6 a.m. or 3 a.m. to get a couple $100 off a TV. Like, I don't give an F. Not doing it ever.
I will tell you though, I almost bought a Dyson from Best Buy because it was down from 600 to 400. And then I thought, I am into my 30s when I am excited about a vacuum cleaner.
I have a Dyson and I love it. And I have to say, they have the best customer service. If you like fill out the warranty, straight up, everyone needs to do that. If you have a Dyson appliance or product, that if you fill it out, they will service that thing. They will send you new parts. It's the best customer service, I think. So
I love that.
That would have been a very adult
in our lives.
I know. Okay, so tell me about the plugs, because that's also a 30 purchase, I think, as far as Black Friday purchases go.
I don't know what's happened this year, but I've become obsessed with Christmas lights. I'm going to tell you, I've never Last year, I hung one string of lights outside of our house
The
because
wrap ones.
the wrap ones around the pillars in front of my house. There's two pillars because my cousins were coming over for a holiday party and I wanted them to be able to see the house like that. Otherwise, it was dark. So I put up one string of lights in 5 minutes
Oh, it's
last
it's
year.
the house on the right with one string of lights. Is that what you told them?
Yeah, basically. It's like, look for the dark entryway with one string of lights.
Yeah, that's where I live.
But then this year, I don't know if it's because of COVID or I just want that cheer and the brightness, whatever. I've gone nuts. I like spent the weekend. I've still got that single string of lights framing the door of the house. But now I've got bushes covered. I've got trees covered. I've got lights in the backyard. I set all that up, wasn't satisfied. I then wanted timers because I wanted everything to come on the perfect moment. And I wanted them to turn off when I went to bed on their own. So now I've got the timers going. I'm on the hunt for these large outdoor bulbs. I
Mm.
haven't found them. And I've got more lights ordered that are coming. So this is just going to be, I already know it's December 1st right now. It is going to be for the next 3 weeks, just an evolving outdoor artistry.
Scene. I think that's so funny. So I can specifically remember, and I love that because I live in a building now, so I don't have an outdoors to decorate. But growing up, I mean, my past life, I was an interior decorator. So I've always been kind of into creating things. But when I was younger, I would actually Halloween, Christmas decorate things on my own. My parents weren't that into it outside. My mom would put
What?
the candles in the window, which a lot of people, we had like a classic 2-story house in the valley, but we didn't have those smart remotes and switches then. So we would have to go around every night in every room, which there were several, and plug every single light in individually and like tape them. But I would go above and beyond and want to decorate the outside further. So I would also take lights and put them through all the shrubs and help my dad hook up the timers. Like I was the one that like made this shit happen because and for Halloween I used to do the same thing. Like I would decorate the outside. So I'm
Young
happy.
Ashley wanted the spirit.
I'm into it. I can't not.
I
And
want you to come over and see it. What I've done,
me to
I
critique it or
handmade
help you.
bows. Yeah, I
Just
want
kidding.
you to critique it and
No,
help
it
me.
looks beautiful. You did show me the bows, and I think it looks awesome. It's
Listen, I
very
handmade
you.
bows. I think I'm losing it. But you can come over and we'll do the high shrub. By the end of this, we're gonna go for Vegas. Like
I
this
mean,
is what
we might be on the tour. You know how people go in whatever cities to their beautiful neighborhoods with all these decorations and lights with the music. That's goals, Sarah.
all right, this is where we may end up. I don't know what's changed. I actually think it's a byproduct of COVID. And if that's the case, I'm happy for it.
You just want to spread the cheer.
I'm spreading the cheer as much as I can.
Okay. I'm coming over ASAP to see this at night, of course.
Ashley, we're also going to spread the cheer in another way.
Yeah, we're going to do a Rival and Queen food drive around. Obviously, we can only make it here in the city. So sorry to everyone. If you want to send us money, we will go buy some food donations if you're listening. But we are going to spend a whole afternoon, Sarah, driving around,
I think
grabbing
whole day.
a whole day. Okay. As long as it takes to fill my entire vehicle of non perishable food items that we're going to donate to Feed Nova Scotia.
Yes. So December 12th, if you message us through Instagram, or you can email us at rivalandqueen@gmail.com or through Instagram at rivalandqueen, send us your address. And on December 12th, we will come by and pick up non-perishable food items, as Ashley said, for a big R&Q community donation.
And we will do it safely. You can put it outside, or if you want to say hi, we'll just pop open the trunk and you can just place the items in, and maybe we'll be decorated. Maybe we won't. I don't know. Stay tuned.
We'll be spreading cheer.
I mean dressed up. I said decorated, but maybe we'll be both.
We could be decorated and dressed up, Ashley. I think that's great.
We'll get some purple decorations, Christmas decorations for my car.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited. Let me light it up. Oh my gosh, what if I can get lights on your car?
No, but you can plug them in.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Ashley,
we'll think of something. We'll tie something. Make us something.
I love this. All right, today we have a very fun episode. We have the Minute Women on.
Yeah, we just did a collab with them on their podcast as well, which just came out. And now we have Linnea and Grace that are the creators of Minute Women podcast, who focus on primarily diving into Canadian heritage moments, which we can all remember.
And we love them so much. So this is a very fun episode. We talk about our favorite Canadian heritage moments. And if you aren't familiar with those, you have to check them out because they are these like they're so nostalgic. Just we love them, don't we, Ash?
Oh my gosh. And we laugh because we know all of them because you couldn't fast forward or record TV when we were younger. And they were, of course, like played over and over, which was super smart. I remember pretty much, I would say like 95% of them, Sarah.
It does also now they're like much more particular about advertising laws to children. But the things I remember from my youth, I'm like, advertising is very effective on children.
Yeah. Especially when it's things you're not used to seeing. You kind of like hear the story or see these characters that we don't, or back then we didn't just see, people through the internet or on social media. It was like coming to us through the television and it was so intriguing. So, I mean,
We
I don't
love
know
it.
if people absorb commercials the same way we did, but it worked.
We were very vulnerable youth, and thankfully the Canadian government chose nice things to teach us.
And
So
they did a great job.
great job. So this episode is a little different, but we get to know Grace and Linnea, the hosts of the Minute Women podcast, and we bring you guys like a rapid fire of Canadian history tidbits. So you get to learn something a little new. And we end with moon mist. So just figure that out how we get there.
And I also forgot, Sarah, when we were planning for that episode to come up with our kind of like most favorite or interesting facts, there was one that I didn't share and I want to share it now. Is that Canadians love Kraft. So most people know of Kraft dinner. And it's apparently, I didn't know this, but people call it Canada's national dish, as Canadians consume 1.7 million out of the 7 million packages sold each week globally. That's in 1 week. So apparently Canadians consume more Kraft than any other country in the entire.
I love that Kraft dinner is our national dish.
I know. I didn't know that, but I think that's great.
I think all right, we'll accept it.
We love Kraft dinner.
I do once a year, Kraft dinner with wieners.
Ooh,
sign me up.
Satisfying.
All right. So you guys can follow the minute. If you want to listen to Grace and Linnea, you can follow the Minute Women podcast and connect with them on Instagram at Minute Women Podcast. We'll link it all in the show notes.
All right. Let's dive in. We'll see everyone later. Happy Thursday, everyone. This is the Rival and Queen podcast, and we've got two very exciting guests with us here tonight, Sarah.
We do. We've got Grace. Hey, Grace.
Hi.
And we've got Linnea.
Hello. Happy to be here, ladies.
Yeah, the host of the Minute Women podcast.
We love doing collabs with you guys. This is going to be the second one. We did one with you guys recently, and now you're on Rival and Queen. We're so amped.
Oh, yeah, we're so excited. Yeah. Happy to be here.
Yeah, our episode with you guys should be up by now. So if people want to go to the Minute Women podcast, they can listen to all four of us talk about some really cool heritage minutes.
About some girl power.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about Minute Women, so anyone who's not familiar can get to know you guys.
So Minute Women podcast is a Canadian history podcast with a comedy twist. We dive into a different Canadian heritage minute every episode. So the Vince Colemans and the James Naismiths of heritage minute fame get kind of deconstructed. So I do kind of like the history part of that. And then
I am there. Grace is a amazing, intelligent, intellectual historian, and she and just so pretty. And she researches the minute and finds out kind of the backstory behind it. So we try to do it with a lot of conversation and a lot of questions and excuse me, and a lot of comedic flair, and we bounce really well off each other. So that kind of is the banter that fuels our podcast. So
I love that. We had so much fun, and it's such a fun approach because it's obviously educational, but then you guys, as you mentioned, bring that funny kind of lighthearted aspect. So I learned a lot, Sarah. I don't know about you, but it was very informative.
I learned a ton, and who doesn't love a heritage minute? Like,
so good.
The quintessential part of the Canadian childhood. And I think recently I've made like a few friends who didn't grow up here. Like or they moved
Yeah.
here later in life and they have no idea what these are. So
No,
it's
it's
so
true.
interesting to be able to like chat with them about them and like explain to them why they're so beloved.
And also,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
couldn't like fast forward during,
No.
you're watching every single commercial one after another. So I think that we can all agree that we've probably memorized all of them that we've seen. So
Oh,
it's very
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, they're
What's
definitely a
it?
product of another time. And I think they're very authentically Canadian. Like, I think
Yeah.
an outsider would be like, oh, what's Canadian? Maple syrup, red plaid, hockey. But I think like a true Canadian is like, oh, yeah, like heritage minutes
Heritage
and like
minutes.
concerned children's advertising.
Oh,
That's
100%.
Canadian.
The
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
thing I remember is like the scrambled egg PSA that's
Yeah.
like your brain on drugs. I remember that and the
I don't know
heritage
that.
minutes.
Yeah, that was American because those actually started with Mark Wahlberg, and then
Really?
yeah,
Was
he
he
was
in
like
one?
he was in the very first. Mark Wahlberg is this is your brain, this is your brain on drugs. Like that was like Mark Wahlberg, but then and then I think those ads came out in the States, kind of on like PBS. And so
Maybe.
then yeah, and so like when you're watching Arthur or like Zoom, but and I'm sorry if my dogs bark right now. They're trying to be very good. They're trying very hard.
We
They're
can
good
hear them.
girls.
They want to
good.
join.
They do. They just want to be. They would want to be where the people are. But yeah, those like that TV that's like get that cat off my head. And all those ones about like seizures, like the appropriate, like don't put a spoon in his mouth.
Yeah.
And
The
Body
house
Break.
hippo.
Yeah, and Body Break with
Oh,
Hal Johnson
yes.
and Joanne McLeod.
That's
There's
Canadian though.
Oh yeah, there's so many quintessential Canadian things, and we just feel really lucky that we found the niche that is Heritage Minutes to exploit.
We all
Definitely.
remember them. What
I
are
forgot
your
about that Hippo commercial. That's
Oh,
so odd.
I love the house
It's
hippos.
so cute.
So
It also
cute.
did not. So like the whole point of it is to be like, be careful of what you see on TV because like that couldn't be real, could it? As a child, I was like, oh yeah, house hippos, they're very real.
They're very real.
They are very much a thing,
Aliens.
and they are in my house.
I
Because I'm,
feel like that's actually
4.
something that would be good to circulate on the internet now. Like,
Yeah, how
this
many
is
people
not
thought?
real.
I think there
Consider
still
what
are
you're
things like
reading.
that. I think that around Facebook, there's always those like fake stories that come out and people believe them and start circulating
Yeah.
them as if they're true.
No, but
It's
I think
true.
it should be circulated as a PSA and then be like, this is not real.
For all of
Yeah.
you 25 to 35-year-olds, the house hippo is not real.
Yeah. It's not like concerned children's advertising. It would be like concerned for millennials advertising. Just so
Yeah.
you know, house hippos do not exist.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what are your favorite heritage minutes? Because I love hearing these.
I will start. I have a few, but I think my favorite is probably the Halifax Explosion, just because it's so classic. It's a really like it kind of sums up what the Heritage Minutes are supposed to be. Like it's very much a good format for that. One that I used to think was so weird as a kid though that that I just like it really stuck with me was the midwife one. And I don't know if anyone remembers that, but it's like this girl trudging through the snow and she's like me.
I can't go on.
And the lady's like, we must go. I don't know what she says, but yeah, we haven't done
Is
that
that
one
not
yet.
Laura Secord? Or that's a different
Oh
one?
no, Laura
No,
Secor's
that's the
just
midwife.
running through the woods back and forth,
And
for a
falling
really
down
long
and
time.
stuff. Yeah.
And falling down.
Dang.
But yeah, the midwife is this really whiny girl.
I
Yeah.
actually love
Like,
the midwife.
I can't. Oh yeah. No, it's like a good episode, but like as a kid, I was like, what's going on?
It's very
with this
melodramatic.
girl?
It's
I need
also
to
one
look
that
this
I'm
up.
like, there's very little about this that is specifically Canadian. Like,
Specific
I
to
don't know
Canadian.
why we have a whole Heritage Minute dedicated to midwifery, but it
Maybe
is
just, like, the
very
distance.
dramatic.
Yeah, maybe just like the distance you had to travel. It was so
Yeah.
rural. It's trying to like depict rural Canada.
Rural
I don't know,
life.
but I do love the Halifax Explosion one with the dispatch and the acknowledge and Vince Coleman. So I'm
Yeah.
a big fan of that one.
Yeah,
Love
we're a
that
little
one.
biased being from
Yeah,
Halifax,
being
but
from-
I think
yeah.
it has to be like one of the best.
Oh, for sure.
Grace, what's your favorite?
I think every time I get asked, I answer differently.
You
But
do.
and I definitely find that doing this podcast has like opened my eyes to the genius behind some of them. And by genius, I mean just like utter ridiculousness of some of them. Like we did the Saudi house, like so like Assad house was never
Yeah.
a heritage minute that I particularly loved as a kid or even like remembered. But then when I had to do an episode about it, and I more did it because I was like, I'm feeling motivated this week and this is going to be an annoying one to write. So I should just get this out of the way. That Heritage Minute is so funny and
It's
ridiculous.
one of my favorites. It was one of my favorites. And when you said, when Grace said, and I think I mentioned this on our episode, she was like, we're going to talk about the Saudi. I thought she was trying to talk about an episode that happened in like Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you talking about? But then I remembered because it's the one where the woman's just walking around this house of slabs of dirt and then she almost has a baby but doesn't.
Well, yeah, it's like this like Eastern European couple and they're building a house and they're like very much in love and you're like, "Oh, that's great." And then it starts to rain and there's like a Gregorian chant suddenly and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh god, something bad's going to happen." And then she
Yeah.
almost has a baby but then doesn't have a baby and there's no
Mhm.
baby at the end of the Heritage Minute. So she just stops like being in labor. And then they like finish their home and he like carries her through the threshold. I was like, this was such a roller coaster. It's
Yeah.
only a minute long.
Is that the Viking one? Or no, that's not the Viking
No.
one.
Not the Viking one. The Viking one's great too. It's some really early bad CGI.
Also Gregorian chants.
Also a
You'll
Gregorian
find that there's
Some thatch
probably
roofs.
half a dozen Heritage Minutes with some really good chants happening in the background.
Yeah.
So
Like-
for anyone that's listening and is trying to kind of like wrap their brain around the heritage moments that they remember or don't remember, where's the best place if you guys just want to plug that now that people could actually like reference the ones we're talking about? Do you have a favorite?
Yeah. So, well, if you want to just like go through the whole catalog, most of them are on YouTube and most of them are on the Historica Canada website. So historica.ca. That's where you can find them. They
Yeah,
have them all
they'll have-
categorized and stuff.
And they have more information and kind of a little bit of history about the event. Whereas on
Yeah.
YouTube, you're just getting the YouTube video and any comments that are along with it. So,
Yeah,
Any
so
unsolicited comments.
Yeah.
it's historicacanada.ca. You can see all the videos there, which are awesome.
Yeah.
Ash, what's your favorite?
My favorite. Okay, so the one that's because I knew you guys were coming on, that's been
did
coming
Grace
to
say
my
her
mind.
favorite?
Oh, I mean, like, I also like Expo 67. That's a really good one. And Irish
Oh,
Orphans.
yeah, okay.
Those
Okay.
both really good. But
I was like,
Very memorable.
She said the thatch roof one.
oh yeah, the Saudi one. Yeah.
No, there's so many, but the one more recently I was thinking about that I like was just in awe at for some reason when I was younger was the Superman one. Like I really liked
yeah,
it.
good one.
I remember that always being in my mind. Like I was like, I just don't understand. Like when you're younger, that Superman's kind of real, but this person was Canadian that wrote it, and you're trying to put all the pieces together.
I forgot about Superman. That is such a great one.
He gets on the
Yes.
train and he gives her the piece of paper that he drew. The guy like Superman. I
Yes.
mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite tonight is definitely the Wilder Penfield one, the burnt toast. But I
That's a
feel
good
like
one.
after we're done this podcast, I'm gonna literally just go through and watch them all one by one.
Well,
because
that's why I wanted
I'm
to know.
forgetting
yeah.
them.
I
Yeah.
want to go back and see. And I think that there's so many, obviously that's a testament for how they rolled these out, is that we remember all of them so well. Like we have favorites, but very educational. I like
Yeah.
the, what's the Canada is its name?
The
Canada.
Peacemaker one.
Yes,
yeah.
I like that one a lot too.
Peacemaker's
that
a
one
good
too.
one. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then I think Canada is like Jacques Cartier. So
That's the
it's
Jacques Cartier
Jacques
one.
Cartier's like first meeting with Indigenous peoples. And he's just such a wacky guy. He doesn't get that Canada is not the name of the country. What a silly
It just
misunderstanding.
means the people,
Anyways.
the houses. Also, you mentioned Dr. Penfield, and I don't know if you have, but I 10 out of 10 recommend looking him up because let me tell you, any men listening to this podcast are going to want to be him, and any women are going to want to be with him. He is a good looking man.
Whoa,
Yeah,
we
and
like
a young
that.
Wilder Penfield is
He's a doctor, and he's a writer, and he's a football player, and he is very nice to look at.
Very
at
nostalgic.
age like 25.
We
Yeah.
love that. So how did the podcast start? Like, Grace, could you tell us a little bit about your background and what was the inspiration for this coming about?
Yeah. So, I mean, in terms of background, I did my BA honors in history. I just finished my master's in like a history interdisciplinary degree at St. Mary's University here in Halifax. And coming here to do my master's was how I met Linnea. So we met at the Halifax Curling Club, which is also just, so Canadian.
Just
we were
sweeping our
just
hearts out.
sweeping our hearts out, randomly paired together on a team. And we like knew each other for about a year before we became like pretty close friends. Like
Yeah.
we were like curling friends, and then we became like outside curling friends.
I thought like Grace had like perfect winged eyeliner and she was just like a little bit like edgy and hip. And I was just like, and she was like a master's student. And I was like, she's so cool. Yeah.
I don't know if that's true, but
It's true.
But
I also
like,
haven't
like,
physically
Linnea was
seen
like,
Grace. Oh, I was gonna say I also haven't physically like seen Grace in a week, so I'm like a little bit like affectionate towards her right now.
we're on quarantine withdrawal from each
Yeah.
other. No, Linnea was like this like bubbly like joy of like ray of light in the curling club that could be like friends with anybody, and she'd just like make friends and make connections with like anybody that was in the club. And I was just like, oh wow, like this girl knows how to talk to people, and I'm just gonna sit here and drink a beer. But then Linnea was working with Mark at Auction House together. They were like, and then Mark mentioned that he wanted to start a history podcast, and so Linnea casually
Very
mentioned that to me,
intoxicated. We
and
were
I
very
just
drunk.
I ran with that because I was like, oh man, I've always wanted to have a podcast. This is my moment. I already know what I want to do. I want to do a Canadian history podcast. And then, like stars kind of aligned. Heritage Minutes came up as kind of an afterthought because it was like, I think it is the most ubiquitous piece of Canadian history. Like it's the easiest access point for a lot of people.
Totally accessible.
Yeah.
Starts
And
a
it's easy to
conversation.
make light of. It's easy to
and
be
as a
like jokey
person
and fun
who
with.
doesn't have a background in history, Grace said Heritage Minutes, and I could like already quote like 10. Like I was like, I know these. Like I can like relate to this. Like I have stories.
Yeah, I like mentioned to Linnea what I wanted to do, and she was like, "Oh yeah, no, I got
I
it."
love
She
it.
like ran off a bunch of like quotes from the Heritage
Yeah.
Minutes. I was like, "Oh, okay, good."
Grace had like a full proposal. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, this is real.
And
We
anyone wondering who Mark is, you can see him today. He's featured.
Hi, buddy.
If you're watching on YouTube.
Hey, Linnea, your sound is really low. It might be your connection.
Oh, okay. Is it
Yeah,
Uh,
it just kind of
better?
went.
Still
Oh.
kind of, what's your volume level on your mic?
all the way.
It was fine,
just
and then
dropped
just yeah,
suddenly.
it just went.
That's really
Yeah.
weird.
Oh, it's back
Oh,
now.
it seems to be
like.
back
Oh.
now.
Okay.
Maybe you just need to move closer a bit.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
it's definitely working, but
Okay.
Does that sound good? Ash, you want to dive into the fun piece of Canadian history, the round table? You want to guide us?
okay. I'm just kidding. Okay, so Sarah and I have done our own research, which is kind of the premise of your guys' podcast. As mentioned, Grace does the research and brings that forward for the episode. So Sarah and I also have our own we'd like to discuss, and we'll all kind of take a turn. I think you girls have your favorite Canadian history facts or
The ones
anything.
that didn't make the Heritage Minutes.
Yeah, just your
Or
own
some may
random
have.
facts. Sarah, why don't you kick us off? Because I'm dying to hear yours.
Oh, I'm kicking off. Okay. In this round table, everyone. So I will say right away that Grace, I want to give you a lot of credit for sitting down and writing out the history for every episode. Because even doing a tidbit for like 2 minutes or 3 minutes, I'm going to tell this story. I had to put in I did like more than an hour's research into this.
That's
and as I was
good.
doing this,
Yay.
I was blown away. I'm like, these girls are researching every episode.
Not this girl. Not this
Stars.
girl. Just that girl.
Linnea's along for the ride, like I am for most things.
For our live show, I had to do what you did, but like I was so stressed. Like I hadn't done an academic paper since like university, like years. And I was like, I felt so stressed, and I wrote like way more than Grace's. Like I wrote the amount that Grace writes for a normal episode, and it was just super funny. She was
We're
like, "No
supposed-
wonder
yeah.
you're stressed."
I was
So-
like, we should have been only like half the length of a normal episode.
Well, right off the bat, I want to lower everyone's expectations and take the idea of a research paper out of anyone's mind.
Okay.
So
Same
my
fun.
I'm exciting for this history tidbit.
it's a
Ready.
history tidbit about Newfoundland. Obviously,
Yay.
I
'cause
love it.
I'm very biased. I love Newfoundland. And so I got this whole piece of history from an author named Susan Flanagan, who, bless her, shared her full article with me today, because I'd heard this, like someone had mentioned to me that when Newfoundland chose to change the side of the road they drove on, which wasn't until 1947, which was very late. I think it was like the last Canadian province to do so by like more than 2 decades. I'm pretty sure. I had heard they did it New Year's Day at midnight. And you can just imagine that time of year. So that was all I'd heard as like folklore. And then I set out to research this because I thought that was like hilarious. Why would you do this on New Year's Eve? I thought it was a terrible time.
I love
The
that.
start of the new year. They wanted to kick it off on the wrong side.
On the
Like
right
it's
side
one
of
of
the
those
road.
things that's like
Half
on
hour
paper
early.
makes so sense. Like on paper, of course you would do it at the end of the year. But
So
I feel like in practicality, not so much.
terrible idea. So here's what I did find out, because that's what I went into this thinking, but actually I was wrong. So they did it New Year's Day at
Okay.
12:01. So it was actually officially January 2nd. So it was not New Year's Eve.
Okay.
So we'll give them credit. They were smart enough to figure that out. But we will come back to the concept of drinking and driving right at the end of this note.
This is going to become Concerned Children's advertising.
Exactly. So this was the day that Newfoundland began driving on the right side of the road. We were still part of England, like a dominion of Great Britain, I think, at that time, because we didn't join Canada until 1949. So this was 1947, and it all started because they wanted to upgrade the trolley system in St. John's, and they didn't want to buy the materials from England, apparently. They wanted to import them from Canada or the US, which makes a lot of sense. It's much closer. But this process started in 1939 when they were upgrading the trolley system, but was put on hold for 8 years because of the war, basically. So backburnered 8 years, they come back to it. What I didn't know when thinking through this was that it's a time when they still didn't have that many motorists in Newfoundland. So it was like horse-drawn carriages were the big concern, cyclists and pedestrians. But when they made this switch, everyone was taking the buses, you actually had to board and get off the bus in the middle of the road.
Okay.
Oh, is it because they like,
The doors were on the wrong side.
yeah, the doors are the wrong side.
Oh, right.
That's so funny.
Right. That is funny.
So this is like what I didn't know. So this was like the big concern, was like when they actually switched sides of the roads, buses opened into the middle of traffic. Pedestrians obviously were looking the wrong way when they were crossing streets. And there were traffic cops. So there was only one traffic light at the time. So
Okay.
this actually was like a very involved process to some extent. Whereas like now you would just adjust the lights and like, I don't know. I never
Yeah.
thought of all these elements.
There's so much to think about. It's
So
also
much to
everybody
think about.
probably has British make cars, so the cars themselves is that true, or would they have American cars?
So because this was all, when this started before the war, yes, it was because they had mostly British made cars and wanted the trolley system upgraded. But because it actually happened after the war, they were occupied at that time by like the American Army and the Canadian Army. So they mostly
Oh.
had those vehicles. But when this happened in New Brunswick and the other Atlantic provinces in like 1922 to 24, then it was changed because of tourism, because they wanted like American
Right.
Canadian tourists to come to those
Right.
provinces.
Right.
So that was like the fun little switch. The only really interesting, they like put a lot of things in place. I was kind of impressed actually. 1947, like they sent stickers out to everyone who owned cars to put a sticker like over their like their steering wheel to remind them that the roads changed. And they pulled. I thought that was cute. Like
That's
very
adorable.
like
Just
forward
remember.
thinking.
That's
Yeah,
thoughtful.
I thought
I
that was
love that
good.
they're
What I would
changing-
say, I
No,
was
you
going to say,
go.
what I would say on our podcast is that a woman came up with that idea. She came up with the stickers.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I think you're right on that one. And I guess they pulled all the taxis and all the buses the night that they switched over. So nothing actually dramatic happened except for
Okay.
a man was needed to go to the hospital and a police van had to take him because there were no ambulances. He had no way to get there.
Oh
And
my
then
God.
God.
The biggest issue were horses. They wrote a very long article about the first funeral after the switch, how this one horse refused to go on the right side of the road.
Oh no, because they
Poor
know it's
buddy.
wrong.
He was so confused.
I
He
think
didn't-
that was their biggest
He
concern.
didn't adapt well, the poor fella.
Oh, what is
Can't teach an old horse new tricks.
There we go.
All right.
I love
Linnea-
that they were willing to like change the whole province's system just for the trolley in one
Yeah.
city.
I mean, that is also how Newfoundland joined Canada.
True.
That is the same premise. No one outside the city was happy.
One city at a time.
Exactly. So just to wrap this one up, which I thought was cute, most recently Samoa on the other side of the world switched sides of the road they drive on in 2009, but they actually went from left or from right to left. So to join
Oh.
like New Zealand and Australia.
Yeah.
But
That's where
in
that Hawkeye's from. Jason
Momoa,
He's from Samoa. I think. He's Samoan.
and it rhymes. I love
No,
that.
Mark says I'm wrong.
I don't think he is either. But he's also been in
Damn.
Newfoundland to film Frontier, so it's all connected.
What? Oh, that's
Yep.
cool. Okay. Well, at least I brought it back.
But when they were making this switch, the Samoan article, like there was a Samoan article that came out, and they actually vouched for changing driving to the other side of the road and referenced Newfoundland. And what they said is,
Oh.
from their opinion, being there, it had been a successful change, although in their experience, you could pretty much drive up the middle of the road and do whatever you wanted in Newfoundland, which I was not impressed with. But when they made the switch in Samoa, I thought this was smart. They reduced the speeds and wouldn't sell alcohol for 3 days.
Oh, whoa.
Imagine if you tried to
Gee.
do that in Newfoundland.
That wouldn't go over.
Not go over well.
So that was my learning about Newfoundland history.
I
January
love that.
2nd,
that.
1947.
So cool.
Public works are really interesting. There's a
Yeah.
lot that goes into making society look functional.
I know.
Yeah.
And apparently it was a big success. One accident. And that was it.
Bravo. All right, let's hear yours, Linnea. What do you
Yeah.
have for a little history
So-
fact?
Well, mine's not so much a fact as someone that I think should have a Heritage Minute. And Grace probably knows who this is because I'm a big fan favorite. This is about George Orton. So George Orton is he actually won Canada's first gold medal. Olympic medal. And it might not be gold, but I know he won. I'm just checking my facts here. He won Canada's first medal at the Olympics. I think that's all it was. But George Orton, when he was like 3 years old, he's like playing with his brothers and he fell out of a tree. And he like, I think now I don't know what would have happened, but they may have like amputated, but instead they just left his like arm like lax by his side, like he couldn't move it. So he has this disability. And they like, which I'll get into, as he got better at sports, they wouldn't let him compete in the Paralympic Games because he was like too good. So he competed as an Olympic athlete. So he also, after he had the arm injury, his dad, which I remember Grace loved this tidbit, his dad used to get him to run behind their truck for like practice, like to like toughen him, like as a kid.
Yeah.
So he also brought hockey to Philadelphia.
We
Which
love
is, like,
that.
Yeah, so he did a bunch of cool stuff. He went to the University of Philadelphia, and while he was there, he just got involved in everything. Like, he's a super cool guy. He's a published author. He's a published poet, and poetry was like a big part of his life. He's just this super awesome athlete. He overcame all of this diversity, and he just like everything about him just makes him seem like the sweetest guy. And yeah, he was a Canadian born boy who also when he was competing for the Olympics, you competed through your university. So because he was
Ooh.
at the University of Philadelphia, his name went down in record books as being competing for America. And it wasn't until years later when he was in like his, I think his late 70s, it was actually switched over where he was like, yeah, like I'm a Canadian and I'd like it to be in like Canadian record books that I won this medal for Canada. Just like this super cool guy who fell out of a tree and just didn't let that get him down. So I think he deserves a Heritage Minute.
What did
I
he
love
run
that.
again? He was like a long distance runner, but I don't remember what he ran.
I'm
think
looking at
he-
it right now. He did the
Yeah.
steeplechase.
Yeah, he did do
Oh.
steeplechase. I think he also did like 1500-meter. And you can see most of the pictures. He kind of like favors and puts his like good arm forward, but you can see that it's like very small and like not muscular. But yeah, he's just a cool guy and it's a cool story. And I think that Grace and I are both kind of softies for a good sports story.
He's
and I
also
just
a
think this
babe.
one-
Yeah, he's also super cute.
I think he's cute. I put on over the first like kind of quarantine when the pandemic kind of hit, I did a would you rather Penfield or this guy Orton, and the
It was a
results
tight
were
race.
quite even. It was a tight race, if you will. Yes.
If you like that 1900s style.
Yeah, exactly.
He definitely has a particular look, but he's a cute boy. He also never married, I don't think. Like I think he was
I
a
don't
bachelor
think
his whole
so.
life.
I don't think so. I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, he was a pretty cool guy. And yeah, brought hockey to Philadelphia, was super involved in a bunch of different sports, soccer as well. He brought like a competitive soccer league there. Just a really super cool involved guy. And I like that. I like that story.
You can thank George Orton for Gritty. That's the like
the
main
creepy
takeaway.
mascot.
Is it
of,
actually that's what it's from?
Yeah.
That's so funny. He's like a monster. He looks like he's from
He looks like a Muppet.
a Muppet.
Where
Thank
is
you.
this?
It just look up the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah,
mascot.
look up the Philadelphia.
Have you not heard of
Flyers,
Gritty?
He's like
Oh,
this big
no.
orange.
He's
like-
Pure chaos.
He's a
So-
lot.
That's
I
that's a
see
good
it.
fact. I like that.
Thanks. Okay, let's hear yours, Ashley.
Okay, so mine is also about a Canadian-born boy, Linnea, named Santa Claus.
Ooh.
This one I thought, me being unprepared sometimes, and this one just came to me because of the holiday season, because it's now December. But
It is.
isn't that crazy? But
Crazy.
Canada's immigration minister declared in 2012 that Santa Claus was indeed a Canadian citizen. So I mean, we all probably could have alluded to the fact that he was Canadian because of winter and the North Pole, but it's actually a fact. And the postal code is ho, ho, ho. So
It is.
when kids write to Santa Claus, they are sending those up to the North Pole and to ho, ho, ho territory.
I love
Did you know that you get letters back from Santa? Did we get letters back from Santa when we were kids?
I did.
You do. I did. I got a letter back.
But like, was it your parents writing it when we were kids?
Probably. No, I think there used to be like a public thing on, was it YTV or one? Remember they used to have Santa Claus and you could.
Yeah.
I think that they put it there, and then our parents
There
probably
was
put it in the mail.
I grew up in the small town of Lunenburg, and there was someone who worked at the post office for years who did it.
Triaged those ones, took them out, and like wrote back.
wrote letters back, which was really cute.
That's
So
cute.
Yeah, and it
I
was
know
like
they
it
still
was
do
kind of
that.
special. Yeah.
I overheard my neighbors talking about it, and their children got their letters back from Santa yesterday.
So cute.
Oh, that's cute.
Maybe
I
we
love
should
that.
write one, Sarah, and see what happens.
Oh my gosh. Should we?
I think
we
we
got a lot of
Rosalind
time.
Queen writes a letter to Santa.
And I wonder how custom they are. Is it just a template from Santa, or is it like specific things we want?
He's a
going to
busy guy.
respond to?
Santa's really busy. Yeah.
He's
I
busy, so
know.
like I don't know.
But-
I would go in
but
with
he
low
may not
expectations.
notice. But he may not notice his ruse. Ash, here's what I think we do. We write one as rival and queen jointly. Then we each make our own. We can sign them in our names, or we put Greg and Jeff on it, Ashley's husband and brother.
Little Jeff. We also need to get
Little
some like a
Jeff.
letterhead with rival and queen and like send it officially to the North Pole.
Boy, I
Sarah.
like that.
Well, we
We
can
have
use
a
our
few
postcard.
requests.
We'll use our post.
that's
I have some
cute.
stamps
You have
actually. that I
postcards?
found.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
we have postcards.
I love that.
I've got them here.
I love a good postcard.
Everyone stay tuned for our letter to Santa Claus because it is going straight to the North Pole. And I mean, this is a North,
Cute.
I guess Santa Claus is a North American tradition, primarily when you say.
I would say like Western.
It's big in Germany as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is just what Wikipedia is
In
telling me is that it's mostly
Europe. I
pop-
would say Europe. It's a
Father
little
Christmas
different.
is very like European, I think.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, the Netherlands have Father Christmas, or Sinterklaas.
Sinterklaas,
So we have family friends in the Netherlands, and that's what their kids did. And you don't leave a stocking out; you leave like classic wooden shoes.
and I just want to
dogs.
leave everyone with an
Cats.
official statement from the government
I'm
about
ready.
about Santa Claus is that that they allow on Christmas Eve for Santa to come as a Canadian citizen to re-enter Canada and go around the world. And that's from
Aw.
Kenny, who has the official right to say that he's allowed to just come and go. Like we don't have
He
to
doesn't
take
need his
him through-
passport on
No.
Christmas.
I
Okay.
love that they added that into this article. So I mean, there you have it. The magic of Santa. He can do as he pleases.
Yeah,
I remember
they-
when that like came
Yeah.
out that it was like the Santa is a Canadian citizen. I remember
Yeah.
it being like Russia and the United States being like, no,
No,
he's Russian, or like,
Yeah.
no, he's American.
it was part of the United Nations is where it was like
Yeah.
announced. It was like and yeah, people were not impressed, but it's that's it.
We didn't-
It's
we didn't
so
come
we
up
have a
with
pretty
that.
legitimate claim though.
Do you
Yeah,
know
I
what?
think
We don't
so.
fight for a lot. And I think we can stand up and fight for Santa Claus. And
Yeah.
the US can suck it on this one.
That's
Ash-
so Canadian.
We had to share the link for this. I love this story so much.
Amazing.
So
And it'll
funny.
be in the show notes.
It's so funny.
All right, Grace, you're last but not least.
Okay, so I have one of two that I could tell. One is Canadian, one is not. So I feel like I should keep with the Canadian thread.
Give us
though.
the Canadian vibe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Briefly to tell the other one though, I was going to tell the story of it kind of fits in with Sarah's a little bit just because it's about public works, and it's the creation of the New York City like sanitary division. So like basically there were so many banana peels in the streets of New York that they needed to create an army to like clean up the garbage.
An
An
army.
army
Stop.
of monkeys.
Not
Is that where like your job's so easy a monkey could do it comes from? Picking up
Maybe.
banana peels in New York.
Yeah, it was basically like bananas were cheap, and like once they figured out kind of like the technical hurdles of importing bananas, they were like these cool fruits that everybody could have, and you could sell them in the street because they didn't need a wrapper. Like it was easy to sell them out of streetcars and stuff, so people would like
It's
eat them and
true.
throw the banana peels away just in the street because there's no sanitary like division or sanitary works yet. And in addition to banana, you have like all kinds of other horrible garbage clogging up the streets. But there was like just this series of people who would like slip and fall and hurt themselves on banana peels. And that's like where the gimmick comes from, is
Oh,
this
that's funny.
like issue in New York. It was also happening in other cities, but like New York was the biggest. And so there was a Civil War colonel who was hired to be like, we need you to control the garbage in this city.
banana
The
peel.
banana situation.
Yeah, and so he created like sanitary workers. They were like, they had like basically military uniforms and hats, and they would like go around and militantly clean up trash.
Hats.
And
I love it.
that's how New York got quasi livable again.
Quasi clean.
I love that you shared that with us.
But I think something that they could be a heritage minute, and I'm kind of surprised isn't, is Alexander Graham Bell, who I just think he fits a lot of the tropes that a heritage minute would be made about.
Wait a minute. There's not
More
one
so
about
than
him.
Marconi. I
No.
would have preferred an Alexander Bell minute to Marconi.
How is
I
this
do like
possible?
Marconi, but I'm
It's a
with
good
you.
minute.
Marconi was a fascist.
He was a
so
big old
like
fan of the fascism in the end.
really loved it. He was really into it.
He loved Mussolini.
Yeah, big fan. Had a poster of him above his bed, like big fan.
But I think also like he just never ended up living in Canada. Like he stayed in
Right.
Newfoundland, and Newfoundland wasn't part of Canada at the time, but like he was living in Newfoundland, then he lived in Nova Scotia for a bit, but then he moved back to Italy and he kind of like lived in Italy for the rest of his life. Whereas Alexander Graham Bell when so Cape Breton Island and Bedeque in Nova Scotia, that was his like summer home, and then when he really retired from public life, he and his wife like moved there full time. And so I think there like is a bit of a sentimental connection to Canada that maybe Marconi didn't necessarily have.
Yes.
But also Alexander Graham Bell was a really weird person, and I think that really fits with heritage minutes. Like in addition, like he's known for inventing the telephone, but he was also just this like inventor of all sorts. So he invented he manufactured the first flight in British North America. He invented the hydrofoil, which was a watercraft.
If you
his-
go to the
Really?
museum, it's barely about the invention of the telephone. Like that's like
Yeah.
one room. It's mostly about the big freaking planes that he like built and like crashed and then like rebuilt.
Yeah, and
The
kites.
museum's
He loved
actually
kites.
quite great. Big kite fan. You can make a kite when you go there.
You can.
Where's his
Um,
museum?
It's in Bedeque in
Think Cape
Okay.
Breton,
Nova
yeah.
Scotia.
And his house is there too, or is the museum at his
Yeah.
house?
So the house is still owned by the family. So like the Bell family still comes to Cape Breton and like summers there. So that whole land is still private. But the museum is Parks Canada Museum. So you can like go there and like do all this like cool stuff and like try out some of his experiments. His wife is also just this like amazing woman who rarely gets mentioned. She was his like partner in crime through everything, his like number one editor and the person he collaborated with the most. And she also was like almost fully deaf. So like he invents the telephone, which is like a device that she specifically cannot use. And then he goes on and like commits a huge part of his life to researching deafness and how you can like help people like deal with deafness. And it's kind of controversial because he was not of the opinion that like what we today would say is like deaf culture as being a good thing, like people who have deafness and accept their deafness and just kind of like use that as something they can connect with other people through. He was very much of the mindset that like deafness needs to be fixed and overcome, and so you should like do things to like
Which I also think
mitigate
when
it.
it's when it's something you when it's something you don't know a lot about and it's a person that you love, I think that's like probably the natural reaction. Like
yeah, I
I
don't
can
think it's
hear all these things. I want you to hear this. Like
yeah, and I don't think he was malicious in any way
No.
about it. But then in addition to like all those things that you're like, oh wow, that's like so incredible, he was also like really into like like breeding sheep with a lot of nipples, like eugenics.
That's interesting.
Why? I'm not sure.
You've never told me this fun fact before.
So
How
he's a
have you
very
found this out?
curious guy.
Very intriguing. Like, yeah, he like went through the town of Bedeque and like rounded up all the sheep that like were born with multiple nipples, and then he
No
bred
way.
them. So he's like, look, I now have a sheep with 6 nipples.
Like
I
for
am a genius.
Or just for fun.
It was kind of to like, I think it was like his interest in genetics and like displaying how genetics
Sounds like
works.
it.
I don't know what the specific purpose of that is,
Right.
but you know, just his other hobbies on the side. When I went to CBU as like a closer to this story, I worked for the Beaton Institute Archives, and we went to the Alexander Graham Bell home, so the Ben Brea Manor, which is no longer inhabited, and so it has like, it's a very old building that like needs some work to ensure that it remains standing and that all the paper documents in there are still like viable. And so there's a lot of his like personal like notes and documents, and like we got to go through them and it was really interesting. But probably the most like shocking thing when you go in is like there's this table with taxidermy legs,
What?
and in the safe of the house, like this big old like
What kind
bank
of
vault
legs,
safe.
Grace? You left out what kind of legs?
Sheep legs.
Oh, okay.
Legs.
Okay. Not
Uh,
human legs, thank
Not
God.
human legs.
Okay.
He was not a mass murderer as far as we know.
Okay.
But in the vault there were like extra legs just in
No.
case the table
No,
needed
thank
new
you.
legs, and it was not good. It
Ugh.
was not preserved well.
That's
All right.
gross.
He's an interesting fella, to say the least. Thank you
Interesting
so
dude.
much.
That is
Things we didn't
weird.
know we needed to know. Great.
Yeah. Or
You're
things we
welcome.
didn't need to know that we now know. I
This
don't
is
know.
how I spare time. Like I
Yeah.
knew that before we decided we were gonna do this as a
Oh,
podcast.
Amazing.
Grace.
I
well,
love
I'm
that.
I'm glad that Sarah and I can lean on you for a huge wealth of knowledge, and I know that our listeners can lean on Minute Women podcast as well to get their Canadian Heritage Minute moments. So before we kind of wrap up, we want to know what is lighting you guys up right now. Linnea, how about you go first?
What is lighting me up right now?
Yeah, like what are you excited about? Like, are you excited about jolly
phew.
old Saint Nick? Like, what is it?
Well, I've recently come back to Lunenburg to kind of hide out for the holidays and the pandemic and such. And I have an 11-year-old sister, and she is my favorite human in the whole world. And so she is definitely lighting me up. I woke up this morning and I go to work after they're gone to school, and I get to my dresser and there's a big blue sticky note, and it says, "Sissy, don't be mad. I took your necklace. Love, Peyton." And I'm like, look, I'm not mad. You're so cute.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah, she's
cute.
pretty sweet. Well, and like yesterday, she came in the morning when she was leaving and like gave me a big hug and was like, "Bye, I love you." And then apparently when she was coming home with my mom after school, she was like, "I wish it was Friday. I don't get to see Sissy until the weekend." And mom was like, "Sissy's like home now." And then she was like super happy. So she's pretty much the coolest human. I love her. She's met Grace. She thinks Grace is great.
I think
Aw.
Peyton's excellent. I think
Pretty
Peyton's
cool.
like
Okay.
way too cool to be around me.
She's
We love
pretty
that.
she's pretty cool. So yeah, she's pretty awesome. So she's keeping me happy.
Aw.
Yeah.
And
We
how about
love hearing
you,
that.
Grace? What's lighting you up?
I think probably Christmas. Like
Oh.
it is I love Christmas as a baseline, but I think this year is just kind of like, not that anything like particularly awful has happened to me specifically. I think I've been very lucky throughout all of this, but like just to kind of see like there is a bit of a light at the end of 2020, and
Yeah.
it's like
We're almost
so
there.
exciting.
It's ending.
It's ending.
Thank
And
God.
like I can like thankfully with the way things are can like still go home and like see my family and
Yeah.
like celebrate Christmas with everybody, and just like finished up doing all my Christmas shopping, and I'm so excited to like bring a little joy to
Sarah's
people's
like, what the
lives.
F? I didn't do my Christmas shopping.
It's December 1st.
I
and
just
we're
get
recording this.
excited.
We
I get
finished
so
our Christmas
excited.
shopping together. We did we online shopped too much.
Till
Well,
we
Sarah, we
dropped.
have a big day in a couple days here. We're gonna get a lot of things.
We
off our
hitting the
list.
shop Saturday.
We're hitting some local shops here. All right, guys, that was awesome.
Where can people find you, and where can they listen to Minute Women?
They can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Minute Women Podcast. Same link for both, and then our same at for both. And then on Twitter, we are at the Minute Women. And then we have a website which has all of our episodes plus all of the resources that Grace uses. So all of the sources and information about both Grace and I, and any exciting information that'll be coming out about the Minute Women. And that's www.minutewomenpodcast.ca. Grace, I need
Yes.
confirmation. It's CA. Okay.
It is. Yeah, I was on there earlier. We love
Okay.
that. All right. So last but not least, we're going to play a game of Queenie Grants. We're going to do a quick round table, our made up game. Very easy, gals. All you do is pick a number between 1 and 100, and I'll ask you a question.
Okay. I picked
Ooh.
4.
4?
Four.
Oh.
Do we both pick now?
No, I'll come to you next.
We'll get to
I'll
you.
wait.
It's so exciting, Grace.
Get amped up. But think about your number, Grace.
I know what I want to ask.
Okay. Linnea, would you rather not wear a bra or not wear underwear? I don't think we've ever asked this question.
Can you please tell the story of your cheerleader costume after you pick,
I will.
though?
So I would probably say it's really tough because I would rather not have to wear a bra, but I think the rest of society would rather that I did wear a bra. Like the girls, the girls would probably rather they were kept in a home. But my story is that when I was in grade primary, I got invited to it was the first birthday of the year. Okay. And I didn't grow up in the community. So I had moved into the town school, and my mom, she worked at the high school. And so I didn't know these kids. They didn't know me. And I get invited to this girl's birthday, Sarah Glenn. And so I have my costume my mom made for me, sewed it herself, this cheerleader costume. It's got a big L on the front of this sweater. It's rah, all of that. But that day at school, I had, 5-year-old Linnea. I had a little dribble in my underwear, and I was really upset about it. And it wasn't I didn't wet myself. I just had a little dribble, and my teacher was like, Linnea, it's not a big deal. Just take off your underwear, put back on your pants. It's all good. You're fine. And I was like, okay. So she put the underwear in a plastic bag, whatever. But I'm going to this birthday right after school, which she does not realize, okay? Because she's got other things on the go. So I get to this birthday party, and we all go upstairs, and we're all changing into our costumes. And I get downstairs, and I, as at that point in my life, was still an only child who just loves being the center of attention. I start doing high kicks off the coffee table in this house. And Sarah Glenn's father, if he were to see me today, would still refer to me as the pantyless cheerleader. And that is what I was known for many, many years from him. Yeah, the pantyless cheerleader. So I think I'll keep my panties on, and I'll say no. I'll say that I would have no bra. Final answer.
I love that answer. That is fabulous.
Yeah.
Grace, give us a number.
27.
27. All right, real quick. Who is your favorite rapper?
Oh, probably Childish Gambino.
Ooh,
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
choice.
As a person, as a human, he's also one of my favorite humans. I love everything he does.
In Community.
Starting in Community.
So cool.
Atlanta is an amazing show. I love him as a writer, as an actor, and
It's just cool.
yeah,
I love that.
excellent. Yeah.
Sarah, you go.
Ash,
Oh,
okay.
you want me to go?
Yeah,
Okay.
you go.
Okay, I'm going to say 32.
32. Let me see what we got here. It's the nicest day of the year. You have $20 to your name. How are you going to spend it? I also think this is great for
Only
COVID,
$20.
but I
Yeah.
think this is a good COVID question. It's you can't go on any high ticket activities right now.
It's true. It's
Well,
true.
because we like to go with our gut here at Rival and Queen, Sarah, I'm going to say I'm probably going to go get a bottle of wine that costs exactly $20. I'm going to grab you, and we're going to go sit somewhere outside and drink the whole bottle.
I'm down.
Maybe we'll get an $18 bottle so we can get a snack with it.
Or
that
an
sounds
$18 bottle. If it's 2 weeks from now, there's somehow snow, an $18 bottle and a $2 crazy carpet.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay, it's my day, not
love
yours.
tobogganing.
Yeah, sorry, you're right. You're right.
I'm just joking.
You're about to be uninvited, Sarah. This is Ashley's day.
I'm just joking. I just had to throw that in there. I love that. Okay, Sarah, what's your number, gal?
I'm going to do 100. A new
Ooh.
one.
Oh, I know what this one's going to be.
Okay. If you could be a flavor, what would you be? Here's what came to my heart. And it was raspberry. And this is because I think it's a bit sweet and a bit sour,
And a bit
Just
tart,
a bit tart.
Yeah.
Gives you a little bit of
Yeah.
all the taste.
A lovely
Yep.
complex shape. Lots of
Complex shape, bright color. The
Raspberry
red
is
Raspberry's
love
highly
it.
underrated.
Oh,
Oh, I
so
love
underrated.
raspberry.
Raspberry jam, my fave.
I'm with you. It's got a bit of all. That's my flavor. But I feel like we should all end on a flavor. Ash, what
Okay.
flavor would you be?
Oh my God, one's coming to me right now and it's terrible. Cucumber.
Oh.
I don't know why. So like
Interesting.
fresh.
I just need you to
That's
elaborate. Okay, the
fresh.
fresh.
I think fresh. It can go in drinks. Obviously, you can eat it as a snack. You can put it in, like you can just do so much. It's very
and it's
versatile.
healthy,
and it's healthy, and it's I don't know.
just like you.
I had cucumbers earlier, so go figure.
Take
What
it.
about you guys?
Grace?
Almond is really coming to me right now. Sorry.
Oh,
Linnea,
Just
you're
like
not-
jump in there.
I love
But that's
almonds.
so like I was like, I don't know. Like that sounds like it can be like sweet or it can be savory. It can be like salty. Like
It
it's
seems
just like
high
it's a
end.
good flavor. Yeah. It's like yeah. I had these President's Choice dark chocolate covered almonds that had like coconut flakes, crispy coconut flakes, like in the
Ooh.
chocolate. They were so good.
Oh, coconut.
I
is
We're
may
getting
or
a
may
wide
not have eaten the whole
variety.
bag.
Listen,
in a moment.
respect.
We could make a great snack so far. Can't wait to
I
hear
know.
Grace's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grace,
Yeah.
what do you got for us?
All of you guys picked like such like adult, mature women like flavors. The first thing that came to mind was like moon mist. I am moon
Oh.
mist. I want to be
am
moon mist.
I love moon mist. It's my favorite.
It's my
Ashley
favorite
loves
ice
Moon
cream.
Mist.
I
I'm
love
not
it.
a
There's
Moon Mist
banana.
fan.
There's so much flavors in it.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
not as any of those flavors would traditionally be ones I would go for, but together they're just so like mystical and
Magic.
like whimsical and lovely. It's kind of
Wait,
mellow.
what are the flavors of Moon Mist?
Bubblegum, grape, and banana.
Banana.
Yeah, right? My reaction exactly, Sarah. I'm
Sarah,
not
you
into
would love it.
But all together,
Didn't
maybe
you
that's
get
what
the
it
kids
is.
flavor in PEI?
You can only get it in Nova Scotia. So Moon
Scotsburn.
Mist is only in
What?
Nova Scotia.
This
no,
is a
it's in no
Canadian
other part of
fact.
Canada. It's in no yeah, it's in no
Another
look at that. We
Canadian
brought that
treasure.
full circle.
I know.
Why the fuck
Only in Nova
are we keeping
Scotia.
that delicious flavor to ourselves?
I think
Scotsburn?
During Confederation, every country, every province was like, no, thank you.
yeah.
I know,
An
but like, why didn't
embargo
they
on
rip
Moon
that?
Mist.
I think that they've tried to rip it off in other places and other brands,
Maybe.
but it's not the same.
It's
No.
just Scotsburn. Like it has to be Scotsburn
They're
Moon
milk.
Mist.
Yeah,
It's
you're
like
right.
they were kind of on the like galaxy trend before everybody else in
Before it
some
became
ways.
cool. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
We love that.
What a Nova Scotian treasure. What a great way to end. I wish I had some ice cream right now.
Me too. Ladies, thank you so much for coming on with us
Oh,
tonight and
thank
giving
you.
us
Thank
a
you for
little
having
bit
us.
of history.
We had
This
s-
was
I
so
can
fun.
speak
Had
for
a great
both
time.
of us in saying that, yeah, we had so much fun. Happy to be here.